Hello, everyone. Welcome to Horror and Hooch. I'm Kay Bly of the Fifth Wall. I'm here with Jade Astral of the Fifth Wall and Desiree of Temper Drinks. Tonight, we will be discussing one of our favorite shows. Have you guessed it? Walking Dead. Gonna be a fun one, you guys. The Walking Dead series inspired by the comic books The Walking Dead. Some people prefer one over the other. I like both. I read the books, I watch the show. I'm all in for The Walking Dead. And because of our topic tonight, we have a special drink for Horror and Hooch. Desiree, what we got?
So tonight's special drink is in honor of The Walking Dead. It is the Bloody Walker. In this drink tonight, you're gonna need some rum of your choice. In addition to your rum, you'll need a little pomegranate juice, pineapple juice, and a splash of grenadine. So in a few, we're gonna get going with that drink, see how tipsy we can get.
Yes, it's gonna be a fun night.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
So, for those of you who have watched The Walking Dead, you know the show has been airing since about 2010. They pretty much owned my life since then. I've been a fan from the beginning. I had a sorority sister who puts it as, I woke up in the hospital with Rick. Okay, we came out of the coma together. That's how long I've been watching The Walking Dead. Basically, and for those who haven't seen the show and just been hearing about it, you know, maybe wanting to watch the show, don't know how they feel about it, it's about surviving in the apocalypse.
The
get bored from it because they think, oh, they're scared of zombies, all that stuff. It has that element of horror, but it also has an element of survival. It has an of rebuilding society after it's been broken. How do we move on and make our community back to somewhat of what it was after tragedy has struck, after electricity has went out, people aren't working, there's no food being produced, you can't talk on your phone, we're running out of gas. How do you still stay connected? And what happens with humanity? What happens when there's no laws or people to enforce laws and people start doing what they want to do? What happens then? Yeah. The Walking Dead really shows that. And for some people, the walkers, or how they call them on the show, which is the zombies, they're like, they're just something else in this new world that you have to make you put together things as the way that they were, but you really can't do that sometimes, because once you break down that system of law and order and people start doing what they want to do, and this group has their set of rules, this group has their set of rules, how do you work together to make society flow easy again? Or is it impossible? Is it just going to be breakdown after breakdown after breakdown? How is the evolution of the mindset of the way things are? Are you going to still be that same person when
those circumstances?
Right. When it was
before. In the words of Shane from the show, he once told Rick, "It ain't like it was before." So how you think that we should be governing ourselves right now? It's not going to work, because some people want to hold on to, this is what worked before. Can we try it again? And some people are like, no. This is how we have to do things now. This is how we have to survive now. What are you going to do to be in survival mode so that you can keep your family, your legacy, and the human race alive? And that's what The Walking Dead is about. So before we jump into any more moments from The Walking Dead, let's get this drink, Bloody Walker.
Yay! So excited.
So I'm gonna start with this drink. What inspired this drink for me is, of course, The Walking Dead, but at the same time, I was trying to think of, if I was in this situation, how much strong liquor am I gonna need to survive that? So let me get started. I got my mixing glass. Get a little ice in my mixing glass. A little bit more ice than that. All right. All right. First part of this is, of course, the rum. I've got a cruising age rum. You can use what you prefer. Bacardi, light, dark, whatever your rum of choice is. This is a versatile drink as well. I try to keep it that way so y'all can choose what you like. So you want 2 ounces of your rum. A little bit more than 2 ounces, maybe. And then you're gonna have equal parts pineapple juice and your pomegranate juice. And I'm just gonna mix these together at the same time.
Ooh.
And we're gonna get that a shake. Get that rum flowing. And with this rule of thumb, I say shake it till the shaker's cold, till you can feel the cold, so your drink is cold. And there we go with that. All right. There we go. Woo. Malfunction. Got a little too much drink today.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, girl.
Into my serving glass. And we're gonna top it off with just a little bit of grenadine, just a splash, not a lot.
Oh, I think I do a little more than a splash.
I mean, if you like grenadine, you know, turn it up, whatever you prefer. But you only need a splash. And that is going to be your Bloody Walker. It's a beautiful dark red color.
Yes, good.
And it's good. That pomegranate juice is on point.
I was about to say that pomegranate juice do it right. I like that little tart, little hit. One thing though, we wouldn't have ice.
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead glass.
Glenn,
yes, look at her.
How we do?
My favorite
one. Gotta have the Walking Dead glass.
So, Kima, you was talking about how society might be, and the main thing that kept running through my head is how would it be being a child growing up through that? Like, would your parents try to shield you so you can have a childhood, or would they make sure to immerse you into what's really going on into the world? Like, how would you go about that? I mean, I don't have any children, so I want to know, like, how would you ladies go about surviving?
I would take the approach that they use with Carl. In the beginning, they kind of wanted to make life as normal as possible and still make him know that things are going to get better. And then it came to a point where they're not going to get better. And Rick broke it down. He said, one day I'm going to die. Your mom's going to die. People around you are going to die. You got to learn how to survive and move on. And he let Shane teach him how to shoot so that he could get these survival skills. And you could see through the seasons how Carl took that mentality of things aren't going to be good right now. It's not a nice place. It's not how the world that I thought it was going to be. And he adapted. He adapted. What's going to be funny to see in the future is how baby sister Judith personality, because she was born in it.
Right, right. So she doesn't know anything of it.
Her character in this new season of Walking Dead and her personality and how her adaptation of, because this is the only world that she knows. So what is her personality? What is her character traits, and how important is that for her as a child in this world? But before we get to what's new with The Walking Dead, let's go back to some of our favorite standout events and moments of The Walking Dead. For me, one of the first standout episodes was called Pretty Much Dead Already. It was the mid-season finale of season 2, which season 2 is actually my favorite season. was, sorry, spoilers if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert.
As always.
Had to give you a warning. It was the episode where they found out that there were walkers in the barn, and they knew that that barn might not be the most secure place. There were walkers in the barn because the farm that they were living on, the guy whose property it was on, he still felt like they were sick people. He didn't understand that at this point they were no longer human. They were no longer, there was no coming back from that. And he just thought that, oh, you know, they just have a disease. Maybe somebody will be able to fix it one day. But they were cut off from society. They lived out in the country on a farm. They didn't know what the world looked like because everything was still good. They were self-sufficient. They hadn't seen civilization. So in their mind, they're like, they're just sick. But because they've never been caught in a horde like the rest of them have, they've never come face to face with this is the life or death situation. So they're like, this is dangerous. And then it took Shane to say, our safety is at stake. We need to get them before they get us. Right. And he opened the barn at this other guy's house on his property. And it's like, we're going to shoot and kill all of them right here, right now. He literally said that line. And that was a turning point in the season for me that kind of split how everybody was feeling at that point, because they kind of got laxed a little bit with living on the farm and everything's comfortable. And then they're like, the threat that they're running from has been right up under their nose the whole time. And it's like, was this the right thing to do to try to protect us and save us? Or should we have just left it alone because this is not our house? And that's where you have to go into, are we in survival mode because this is an apocalypse, or are we still thinking the old way of life? And I think that's when that idea first got introduced. Another breakout moment that I thought was gruesomely surprising was season 5. I think it was like the second or third episode where they had just escaped Terminus, and we found out that Bob had gotten bitten.
Lord, that was one of my favorite ones.
Yes, but only when he get bit, he kind of got kidnapped, because when they left Terminus, they didn't kill the people who ran the organization in the first place, which was what Rick's plan was in general. He's like, no, they don't get to live. And everybody else is like, okay, we're out, let's just go, which they should have listened to Rick in that instance. But they didn't. The people lived, came back, kidnapped Bob. And then at that moment, we understood how dangerous this new world was and what people were willing to do to survive.
Yep.
Yes.
And so the termites from Terminus, their plan of survival was cannibalism. And it became creepily weird to us when Bob is still alive and he's sitting with half of his leg chopped off, and he doesn't know how this happened. He's like, "What? Why am I sitting here? Where's my leg?" And then you look around.
They were eating it,
and they're eating it. Barbecuing on the grill, everything. And that's just like, oh, people are really crazy out here in the apocalypse. Like it just took to a new level. What are people really willing to go through to survive? And then we get to another group, the Saviors, and we learn they have a way of survival and building up civilization. And their way is pretty much a dictatorship. Their way is Negan's way. Negan's way is, you do what I tell you to do, you work for me, and that's how you're going to survive. If you don't do what I want you to do, what I tell you to do, then there's no use for you anymore. And they just straight up take you out. And that was the first time we seen Rick at his lowest point, because he's always been the strong character, the strong guy. He's always been the hero that can overcome any obstacle. And then Negan breaks him down into a place that we've never seen him. And that episode,
Rick was looking bad.
It was to people because like we were scared. We were like, if Rick can't handle this, how am I gonna handle it?
Like, what is going on? Like he just was like in a rut.
Control. And when everything is spun out of control, like like we're reacting to the characters. We're just as scared as they are. Even if you read comic books and you know what's about to happen, you get so attached to the people on the show. You're like, I don't want this to happen. I'm scared. Rick, do something. It's like we sitting in the lineup circle with Meeny Miny Mo too. Like, oh my, is he gonna get me? Is Lucille coming after?
And that's the best episode for me.
that episode hurt my heart. Like, why Glenn? Like, he's always been there to save almost everyone, and why can't he just enjoy life?
And a lot of people was hurt. Yes, another spoiler alert. Sorry, people, but Glenn died. They tricked us with the show, and Abraham got taken out by Lucille first, but they wrapped the line right back around and got Glenn back. And it was hurtful to see because Glenn was there since day one, and people were really attached to him, and he was a fan favorite, like Jade over here, who was, she was connected to Glenn, and that was one of her favorites.
I really was. Like, and then for like Glenn's heart was so big that in the midst of his brain being destroyed by the freaking bat, he looks at his woman and is like, I love you. Like, for him to even put that together and your brain is like being mashed in, it's like, oh man, like, I ain't gonna lie, y'all, I cried.
My mom cried. Hi, Mom.
I didn't cry. I'm probably one of the only people I know that didn't cry.
Yeah.
Really?
But I'll tell you why. Because I'm probably the most twisted person watching this episode. And I'm like, all right, Negan, you gonna take him out? Take him out. Let's see you do it. Like, I was trying to see how hard he was really gonna be. And I was he ain't gonna do it. I was like, he ain't gonna really do it. It's not gonna happen. But for me, that solidified, like, okay, he the one. He in charge. He running it. Because when you say, I'm going to take it in and I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and you call everybody else bluff, that's it.
That was the point that he was making. He's like, I want you guys to really know me. I don't know who y'all was dealing with before me, but I want you guys to know. He said, this is what's going to happen. When I tell you I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And he showed us, and I think for the characters and the people watching, we needed to know this was going to be a strong villain, and he showed us today. And
sometimes you got to root for the villain.
We lost a favorite. Another one we thought we could have lost that episode was Carl. Carl was a G though. When we thought Negan was about to take his arm, or he was trying to make Rick cut his arm off.
Yeah.
Carl was just laying there like. That just
come on with it. Yeah.
Do what you my favorite. Do what you got to do. And I think
Carl is my favorite.
Desiree, he's one of your favorites, right?
Yes. And I say that because he's probably one of the only characters that we watched have to grow into this situation. Everybody else were adults. They were handling it. They knew this is the scenario. This is what's going on. We got to adjust. But as a child, you got to think from his perspective. He's thinking in his mind is what the hell going on. And so to see him go from childhood, you got to learn to survive. I'm about to teach you what you need, what the necessities are, and take that and then become a leader later on in the show, so to speak. It's just that evolution for him makes him one of my favorites. Now, he did get on my nerves in the beginning.
He did.
But he was a child. Children and everything for get on my nerves.
About season 5.
So y'all talking about children with horror? I want to talk about this one little girl, Lizzie. This was one of my favorite episodes when Carol had to take out the little girl. Y'all remember that?
And Carol is a favorite too, because Carol had. Think about Carol's evolution in that moment.
Yes, she was so weak in the beginning.
She was so weak. And the whole point of episode 2 was they were looking for her daughter until she popped out of that barn they broke open, and she was already turned to, okay, I've lost a child. and I've evolved so much into this, you know, apocalypse. She didn't have
She took out a kid.
a child. And she did it for the sole purpose of survival. The child was a threat. Carol's gonna take out a threat no matter who it is. It do not matter. If you are a threat in this world, Carol will take you out.
But that's the mentality
one
you gotta
thing
have.
Yeah, that episode though kind of like made me look in a perspective of you have different types of personalities, even when it comes to the children and things that they can handle and cannot handle.
Right.
That child really could not handle the fact of that people were dead and that's not a way of coming back. She thought it was something good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that shows you the difference. Like, between, that's why I was asking about how would you raise a kid? You know, how would you be able to?
She couldn't process it like Carl was able to, and get it.
Right. Yeah.
Going on. She couldn't get past the concept that these people were dangerous and that when you kill them, they're dead. They're not sick, they're dead. She wasn't there yet, or it wasn't, her mental and cognitive processes wouldn't let her see that. She still wanted to see what she wanted to see no matter what. And then that's what happens, just like in the regular world when trauma happens. Not everybody can process it.
That's true.
And so think about that times 10. And then you get people like the terminus people. You get people like, you know, the little girl who thought, oh, let me go ahead and kill my sister to prove to you guys that she's going to come back alive. And like, no, that's not what you do at all. You don't commit murder just to prove a point. And in her mind, but that was the only way to get them to see what she saw. That, I mean, and that's just how do you handle people with instability in the apocalypse? And I think that's something that Shane was trying to get across to people in the beginning. They just weren't ready to hear it. That's why he's one of my favorites. He had the survival attitude before anybody else had it.
Yeah.
And they didn't for it. They thought he was just mean and bossy, and why are you trying to tell, like, they just thought he was just going about it all wrong. But Shane's personality is how Rick's personality ended up being around season 5, because they just weren't ready to hear it back then. People still wanted to believe that we could go back to life and how it was. They wanted to believe that everything was going to be okay. But Shane said it ain't like it was before. That means you got to go into another mindset. And believing anything different is dangerous. And they didn't want to understand that believing anything other than survival mode was dangerous until they had to see it firsthand. They had to see up close and personal that if you don't take on the mentality of survival, something's going to happen. People are going to die. People are going to go after you. You're not going to keep it together. And that's what I appreciate about his character. He only lasts through 2 seasons, but his influence was through all the seasons. You see Shane's influence through all the characters and their evolution as they take on his philosophy more and more and more. And it's like, oh, y'all hated Shane, but now y'all agree with his, you know, now y'all want to go into survival
his
mode.
whole method.
Yep. Speaking of me, go ahead.
I'm about to say, honestly, what really scared me about The Walking Dead is the location. Point blank, period. Like, you're talking about Atlanta, Bibb County, you talking about Macon. Shoot,
you know,
we right there in Georgia. Like, we're in Savannah State.
Would not.
We live in Savannah, like you name it, all these places.
Because it's in Atlanta. Like, she will watch Game of Thrones, who have White Walkers who are just as creepy, if not more. But she's like Walking Dead because it's in Atlanta and I live here. It's too much.
And it's telling the truth, because honestly, if some stuff go down, all them circles y'all got, and y'all, how y'all gonna get out?
Right.
It's traffic anyway. Like,
Lord,
that's some scary mess. And the CDC right there, whoo, child.
Right. But see, the thing is, people keep, a lot of times they see the walkers, the zombies, and they're just like, oh, this is too scary for me. And when you really get into the show, they're not the most serious threat.
It's the humans.
With each other, yeah.
It's the villains. And a lot of people want to, credit Shane with being the first villain, but I wouldn't. I don't think he was a villain. I think that he was smart and people just weren't ready to hear it yet. The first villain I would count would be the governor.
Yes.
And it's because he played this nice, charming guy. He's like, welcome to Woodbury. We got running water. We have picnics on the weekends and, doctors and all this good stuff. But he was really just pure evil on the inside. He was like keeping walker heads and fish tanks, and he had his daughter on the leash. And
up in the basement.
He was really sick and twisted. And it's like, you get those persons. It's like, was he this unstable before everything went down?
That was the real question.
It's like, yeah, was he really
He could have been. Just turned up a notch or two.
Yep. It's like, was like the apocalypse his perfect place to be who he really was and have that, take on that personality and that role? Because he wanted to outwardly look like he was a good guy. He wanted people to like him, but a real person with real intuition and can really read people like Michonne was, she saw all through his bull. And she didn't even know anything that he did. She just was just like, it's just something not right about him. She saw it.
It was too perfect.
Yep. She was just like,
you talking about
something's happening with this guy. I don't know.
how people were in the past before the whole, apocalypse happened. Like, how do you feel about Negan? Do you feel as though, was he like a psychopath, or was he just super smart? Like, could he have been a psychoanalyst, or like, did they talk about what he was in the past? Because he was able to manipulate and break people down and analyze them and find their weaknesses. He really had that on point.
He read people so well, and that's why he gets under people's skin, is because he's spot on with what he's saying. He's like, this is why you don't
I see you.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I already know.
And that's why he knew him and Rick butted heads, because he's like, you don't like me because I'm doing what you're trying to do in a different version, but I'm doing it a lot better in my own sick way. I'm doing what you're trying to do. You just don't like the way that I'm doing it. Because, I mean, let's say, and a lot of people are like, let's get a Negan backstory of how he became the leader of the sanctuary. What was his life? I mean, because think about it. If we did Negan perspective over Rick done killed a lot of people, y'all.
But it was survival.
They walked into that outpost and killed those saviors in their sleep. In their sleep. He's knocked off a lot of people, He ain't, Rick didn't get into,
but they're not looking at it that way.
He killed Shane. So it's not like he came in all this innocent, not that Negan is, but Rick is far from innocent himself. And Negan knew that about him. That's why he didn't want to kill Rick. He wanted to keep him alive because he knew that he was smart and that he was powerful. And it's like, okay, I work better with him on my side. If I can break down the most powerful guy out here, it makes him look better. And that's probably another reason why Rick didn't kill Negan. Is like, okay, I can take down the most powerful person and get them to where they're in a weak state and that I can still look good on the outside. So Negan was a very smart villain, but he did so in a way that if Rick was your favorite, you couldn't like Negan.
Right.
True. They made you pick sides.
Right. It was
you
like
had to.
There's no both. There's no in between. It's just it wasn't going to happen. That it's like if you're I'm Team Rick. You're like, I can't. And you see a lot of that with like on social media. The people that really hate Negan are serious Rick fans, and the people who support Negan feel that Shane should be alive over Rick.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. So you
I
still
think
that kind of battle going on, that even now people feel that Rick should have been the one to die in the beginning instead of Shane.
What about
Rick
that
has
whole
too many
theory?
emotional attachment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I think
emotional
that's his
attachment.
downfall.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna bring up, what about that whole theory of Rick just actually just being asleep the whole time in the hospital? Like, I used to
That
hear
would be
that so
disappointing.
much. Like, he's gonna wake up and this is not really going on. It's just him on a coma or anesthesia, and he's just tripping.
It would be nice to think that, because then, all of our favorite people would still be alive. But now, for the fact that they've removed Rick from The Walking Dead, it's like that theory has to go out the window.
Oh yeah.
True.
So, with that, and a lot of fans were a little confused about how we would feel removing Rick, the leader of all this, the day one. This is the guy we woke up in the hospital with, and you're gonna take him away? What?
Right.
But the new showrunner thought of something that would distract us from the fact that they took Rick away. Because I'm going to tell you that Rick's last episode, I was really sad and heartbroken. Especially him and Michonne had all these wonderful moments leading up to. And it's like you could see Rick wanting to make this new world happen. He's like, I took down Negan. I want us to be a real community, us trading between each other. And then it's like, okay, now he's not here anymore. But so we got a good distraction, which is the Whisperers.
Yes.
Very interesting next level villain. And that also brings us to, now here's this group's level of survival. Spoiler alert again. So the Whisperers, they appear to be from afar just a regular group of walkers, just these zombies that you just need to avoid. But Rosita and Eugene ran into them, and they're like, they hear them. And it's like, wait, zombies don't talk. Why can we hear them whispering? And then it came real creepy and they're like, are the zombies evolving? Can they talk now? Like, what's happening with evolution? Is the disease on another level? And then you find out that they're people wearing the mask of the zombies as their method of survival. So here we are with a whole nother plan of how we're going to make it in the apocalypse. But it just comes across as just really freaky and strange. And it reminded me of Leatherface.
Only much.
Yes.
You know how he would skin the people,
exactly,
clean it, and sew on the things. And it's like, how people would sew on a wig. He just sewing on the mask to his, his face. That's what the Whisperers are doing.
But
and
it made me think about the Silence of the Lambs.
Yes, it's just and it's the new threat now, and like the new villain. And it scares them because they never seen anything like it. How do you deal with a group of people who are blending in so well with the zombies? Who are the people?
But then that's risky. Like, just imagine if you're walking with the zombies and not knowing someone is afar with a rifle or a snipe, and they shoot you because they think you a zombie.
Right. True that.
That's your fault. You trying to survive,
But see, I guess they're thinking that eventually people are, and the thing is, people are running out of ammo. So by the time you see the last episode, it was like hand-to-hand combat. Like, they encountered this group that they thought were zombies. So it's like nobody has guns and stuff anymore. You got to start using weapons like they did in the olden days. So if you're a Whisperer, hand-to-hand combat is not a threat to you as it would be somebody shooting you, because they're like, people are running out of ammo. if they're gonna come and kill us, they're gonna try to come up. They got to get close to us, and at that point is when they find out.
True.
That, oh wait, I'm just not like this, brain dead zombie. And you guys have to see this moment in that last episode before when the mid-season finale aired. Jesus was after one of them, and it was like the craziest thing to see a zombie go, because you've never seen a zombie fight back, right? When you go to them, it's like pushing them off of you. You're getting them because of their only goal is to try and eat you. So their defense is just, like this. But when you see somebody like, no, I'm about to get you, and the zombie is like, no.
Fighting back, got hands.
Fighting back, and it was just like, oh, what's going on? He blocked it. He like blocked him and like held it. It's like, wait a minute, they don't do all of this. They don't fight back. They don't do that. And it just threw everybody off. And like all the onlookers was like, oh, what? How did they don't fight? They don't grab weapons. They don't stab people. And then when he took the guy down, Daryl like looked closer because Daryl has more sense and survival knowledge than everybody else. And he like looked closely at him, and he's like, what is this? And they look closer and they like peel, the mat. And he's like, it's not a walker. This is a person. So they literally thought they were being chased by a zombie herd when it was just, and they literally like surrounded them like the zombies would, but it was more strategic. So it's like they're using the same survival tools of zombies, but using it with the more knowledge of humans. And then that's how they're getting go. And it's like going to be interesting to see how that plays out as a whole. Mitra has seen them on the video game from that perspective, which I didn't know they were in the video game.
I knew it.
Yes. The Walking Dead video game, I like to watch the walkthroughs. I haven't like actually played the game. So how it starts off is there's this prisoner, I believe his name is Lee, if I'm not mistaken, and he's being transported from Atlanta to Bibb County. Okay. And the police officer is just chatting, not paying attention. And Lee keeps looking. He's like, okay, there goes a helicopter. There goes all these important trucks going by from the military. Like, something's going on. You need to pay attention. End up a zombie in the middle of the road. They have a car accident, and they're basically in the wilderness with all these zombies. And he runs into this little girl named Clementine, who is basically the main focus on the video game, like a main character. And Clementine is probably about maybe 8, 9. Her family had went to Savannah for a trip. So she was basically left alone, and she learned her own ways to survive. She knew how to hide whenever the walkers came, to be quiet, because if you were loud, they would come at you. And Lee took the girl up and took care of her. So they show it like in seasons and little episodes whenever you're watching the walkthroughs. And the last walkthrough that I watched was about one of these characters from the Whisperers. Like, he had held this little boy AJ hostage that Clementine is taking care of, and told Clementine the only way that she can get AJ back is if she walked through the barn that has nothing but walkers, and do not touch them, just walk through the barn because they're not going to harm you. Because his whole theory about the walkers is like, if you don't mess with them, they won't mess with you. It's okay. Just live their life, just wear the skin and it'll be okay. You don't have to worry about anything. So he's trying to get Clementine to convert. And I thought it was neat how the video game is just taking those aspects from the show, and they have it in the game. Like, for example, Glenn is in the video game. Herschel is in the video game. So I just found that very interesting. I like to watch the walkthroughs. So you should actually take some. It's on YouTube. So let's watch it.
Like the Walking Dead universe it's spanned into other forms of media. Like if you don't like to watch the TV show, you might want to read the books. If you're into video games, you might want to play the video games. If you're into conventions, I would strongly suggest that you go to Walker Stalker Con. And that convention kind of spawned out of The Walking Dead. Like they kind of include all things horror, movies and other horror shows like Z Nation and American Horror Story, and like the latest horror movie that came out in that month of October. But it really surrounded itself with the cast of The Walking Dead. I've been a couple of times myself, and it's really fun. People are dressed up as Walking Dead characters, Walking Dead t-shirts. Zombies are like walking around everywhere. Other characters from horror genres are there. Like the last time I went, it was around the time that it came out, and it was a lot of Pennywise people walking around.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No clowns.
So I mean, you never know what to, because people will, just like at any other conventions, Comic-Con and Dragon Con and, you know, all the other things that come around, people really go all out for Walker Stalker Con. And it just feels like for fanatics, it's like you're right at home because everybody is that into the fandom as you are. And I bought 2 swords from there.
You preparing for the zombie apocalypse? You need some sword.
You know, you got to be. After I'm like, okay, I could run out of bullets in this gun. Well, I need to back up. So we got to back up. Hey, apocalypse go down, come over here. Okay, I got you. No, I say I say that now, but I'm gonna have to check for bites if you come knocking on the door.
Okay.
But you gotta be, it real fun you to be in survival mode. I think I didn't even buy a gun until after I started watching The Walking Dead.
That's a shame.
I'm like, you know what? You just don't know, especially when that whole thing happened in Atlanta and they brought back Ebola and they brought the Ebola patient to Atlanta.
Oh my God.
Girl. Now, hold on. You talking about the Ebola. Let me take it all the way back to when it was a guy in Miami that was eating the dude's face off because he smoked the spice.
I remember that.
I was like, here come the zombies. No.
Right.
And
Especially,
bath salt.
you know.
Bath salt had them doing that.
And
Yeah,
the very first season of The Walking Dead, when they were having the conversation with the worker from the CDC, and he's just like, you have all these strains of viruses like Ebola that y'all don't want getting out, and then here you go bringing an Ebola patient right in our face. Like, oh no, I gotta be prepared. They playing.
Like, let me go home.
I was like, that kind of sparked some, and it really gets you to thinking too, like what kind of survival skills do you have to think that you would survive in a zombie apocalypse? Like, do y'all think y'all would live?
I would try my best.
I would try.
I really would try my best because, like, I would put everything that I've learned into the motion. But the thing is you still have to try to. I mean, you got to go to sleep. That would be my thing. I'd be scared to go to sleep.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
What you mean?
What's going to happen? My eyes is closed and the zombie can just come up. I'm asleep. I'm not going to hear. I'm not going to hear that.
But that's why you got to plan it. You got to have a watch person and the other people are asleep and you sleep in shifts. That's how you work that out.
But what if I'm by myself? Like, I don't have a watch person.
You need to get a dog.
I think my hunger would impair my judgment. Like, having to find food and be hungry, I'm just going to be like, forget it.
You know, you just how you feel in survival mode. Like, and would you be able to take down your loved ones once they get bit? Like, listen, I told my husband, look, you know the deal. If you get bit, you know what's going to happen.
Man,
I agree.
You know, I'm not just going to let you walk around so that you can turn and attack me. we about to do it the Walking Dead way.
And we're not going to drag it out like Carl.
Exactly. We're not dragging it out. We're not dragging it out. But it's like, could y'all do that to survive? Or would you be like the person in...
One of our viewers is telling the truth. To my, y'all ain't see what happened in Maggie Mansion? Them folks was sleeping.
Mm-hmm. And it was a point where this was like the season before last. Somebody got the saviors poisoned their weapons, so nobody knew anybody was infected. So if they shot you with an arrow, you didn't know the arrow was infected. So by people, everybody sleeping together in this mansion at night, people were dying in their sleep and waking up dead. Mm-hmm. And it's like, because like they were having this one big, okay, we got to all stay together and protect ourselves. But they didn't know that people were getting hit with poison weapons that were like dipped in zombie blood and stuff. So say, look, and that would be a creepy factor. Like say you went to sleep but the person next to you got shot by a poison weapon and they woke up dead. And now the person laying next to you, they weren't bit, they still got the same virus. And then now you're at risk because you didn't even know that they had the virus. And that's what happened. It was this whole creepy Night of the Living Dead factor that we hadn't seen in a while. That episode was a little scary. I liked it because it did give us that, that whole zombie raising up out of their sleep in the middle of the night vibe. And that was actually a good move on the savior part. Eugene's idea there. But yeah, now that would be a special case. How do you survive in that kind of thing without panic? I guess that's when I need to be sleeping where the weapon comes in. There you go. Sleep with a weapon next to you and a dog. Because see, pets are gonna let you know. All right.
Did they ever show zombie animals?
They gonna let you know this wrong. So they gonna let you know if the person that's over here next to you is waking up and they're infected. They gonna start doing something to get you on alert to like, let me grab my gun or let me grab my knife.
But here's the thing, like I just said, and Desiree answered it, like they didn't show zombie animals, but that could possibly happen, couldn't it? Like if a zombie bit the animal and they got away.
No, the zombie's not gonna let no animals get away. Did you see my girl? Shiva got.
Oh yeah. When they get you, ain't no escape from that. When the zombie hordes with the animals, like they got them. They going in.
I know.
Rest in peace, Shiva. And Rick's horse in the first episode.
That's what I was thinking about. Horse. They was all
when you get got, you just get got. But see, the interesting thing in the Walking Dead universe is that the virus that affected the people hasn't affected the animals. Like in other zombie movies, like Resident Evil. Like when the birds were infected and they were attacking people, because the birds were like zombie birds. That hasn't happened yet in the Walking Dead universe. For some reason, it doesn't affect the animals.
Speaking of zombie animals, y'all know it's a new Pet Cemetery coming out. Just in the mind of horror. New Pet Cemetery. That's all subject, but just throw that out there.
Oh yes, that's one of the classic Stephen King movies. We'll have to do a show on Stephen King one day. But
that's my uncle.
one of the masters of horror. We love Stephen King. But our next show will be spotlighting films from Black people in the horror genre. Thanks to Black History Month, we're going to talk about it. We know that there's not many, but we find some, and we're going to share those with you guys and review them and stuff. So stay tuned to our pages. Follow us on Facebook, The Fifth Wall, The Fifth Column, Temper Drinks, Instagram, The Fifth Wall, The Fifth Column, Temper Drinks. We're on Facebook and Instagram. We're also on Twitter. Stay tuned to see what we got going on, and so you can stay up to date with us, we give you our list of drink ingredients. We let you know what the topics are so that if you want to participate and be a part of the conversation, you will have all the information there and can just jump right in with us. Or if you have any ideas for a future shows that you want us to do, future topics and stuff, let us know. Hit us up.
Yes.
Social media.
Even a future drink.
And even a drink, drink suggestions like, hey, have you guys heard of? And then we might be, oh yeah, let's try that. Let's see what we got. We always down to try that,
Okay. Yes.
Bloody Walker.
I'm gonna have to go get me a refill. That was a nice drink. Always on point with those drinks. Yes.
Yes, gonna get it together. My little Walking Dead cup here. Glenn on the back. Shout out to Glenn.
Shout out Glenn.
But thanks everybody for watching. Like and share. If you missed this live chat, you can always catch us on our podcast, Whore and Hooch, on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, and several other platforms. We're around, and we post this video on Facebook so that you can watch it, whenever you get time to see it, or just listen to the podcast. And we will see you guys in a couple of weeks with our list of Black History Month spotlights. Thanks, everyone.
Yes. Good night.
Night.
Good
Enjoy
night.
Bloody Walker.